Peace, love, and happiness and blessings to the family, to the loved ones, to the folks, to the comrades. You already know what we on right now. We on the shenanigans. Don't believe the hype. It was said in 88 by the great Chuck D. Now they trying to do me with no Vaseline. It's just a match in the gasoline. But it's a great day for genocide. What's that? It's the day all the niggas die. The so-called African Americans, the Negroids. I'm tired of this hype where they talking about, oh, the so-called African Americans, so-called, because you already know we Americans, but the so-called African Americans, the population is 50 million. They say that African Americans, we just talking about North America. We ain't gonna talk about the West Indies and South America, Central America, and all that other stuff. We just talking about in North America. They say we are 50 million of the population. So it's at like 15, 20% of the population. Like, how do people believe this dumb stuff? How is we the lowest percentage of the population, but we have black communities all over America? That should show you that 50 million is a lie. And then the so-called white people talking about their 60% of the population. So we need to reverse that and look. So that means the so-called African American is 60% of the population, and it's only about 50 million white folks out here. It's only common sense. Now look at this. Now, if they would have been talking about white people are the most majority, then we're next. Then we would have been like, okay, we can believe that. But how can anybody believe that that's been in America? That been in America. So, okay, look at so. Look at this. The football stadiums, the basketball stadiums, the baseball stadiums, the wrestling stadiums, the one they used to have in San Francisco. When we used to go to watch wrestling and stuff back in the 90s, late 80s and the 90s and stuff like that, they had it in San Francisco in Hunters Point. Hunters Point Project is where you went to, what's that, the Cow Palace? Hunters Point. San Francisco Giants used to play in Hunters Point. The A's, the Warriors, and the Raiders play in East Oakland. The 6-9 Village is right there. It's right there. Do you see what I'm getting to? Do you see what I'm getting to? The zoo. When you go to the Oakland Zoo, where's the Oakland Zoo at? The Oakland Zoo is in Seminary. That's the hood. We go see the Chicago White Sox on the west side. Ain't they in the hood? We go see the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets is in the hood. You go to Atlanta. You go to Spelsman, to the, what's that, Morehouse. Morehouse, these big colleges in Atlanta are in the hood. You go to Los Angeles. You go to those colleges. Those colleges are in the hood. They're in South Central. They're in the hood. Don't you notice that all these attractions, all these places, all these events are in the hood? How come that is? How come that is? Everywhere you go to a football game, you know the hood is right around the corner. We go to the White House, D.C. The White House is in the hood. The White House is in the hood. Every place that you go, landmark that you go, is in the hood. From the West Coast to New York. Down south, Midwest. But you're saying it's only 50 million so-called African Americans. If it was only 50 million so-called African Americans, you could have fit us all in California. You could have fit us in Texas. You could have put us on the East Coast. You could have put us in the Midwest. We wouldn't be in every state in California. And then, there's black cities in damn near every state, but some states you go to, it's not really black cities like that. Like if we go to Colorado, you don't see some black people, but do you see black? That's what I'm saying. But most of them, most of the states, out of 50-some states, 40-some, got hoods all through. Now, in the Bay Area, how many black cities we got? Richmond, Oakland, Vallejo, Pittsburgh, East Palo Alto. And then you have other cities that have a whole bunch of black people up in it. You already know Antioch, Hayward, San Leandro, Fairfield, Like, come on. Then you go to Sacramento. Then you go to Stockton. You go to Fresno. You go to Bakersfield. And then you go Central Valley. You go to Tulare, Hanford. Oh, we can't forget the Seaside. I forgot the Seaside. Then we keep on going down up in there. You get to San Bernardino, Pasadena, Los Angeles, San Diego. Now, you know all these. I just named a whole bunch of black cities in California, starting up there to Sacramento, going all the way to Dago. And you know, I missed a whole lot. I didn't say, because there's a lot of them in Southern California out there in LA that I don't know. You feel what I'm saying? You just see how many of these black cities. Watts, Compton, South Central, Inglewood. We go to Texas, Houston, Port Arthur. I'm like, come on, bro. New Orleans, Louisiana. We go to Louisiana, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, like Philly, Detroit, Michigan, Flint, New York, the Bronx, Harlem, Queens, Staten Island. Like, come on, bro. Come on, Florida. We're going to hit Dade County. Like, it's not adding up. It's not adding up. That's why I say don't believe the hype. They say it's only 50 million so-called African Americans, but you have black people in every state that got their own communities. That's why you have to do the regentrification. That's why y'all been doing the regentrification, moving so-called black folks from one place to over here, taking them from the places they been and moving other people in. That's why he started bringing in all these foreigners and stuff like that, because we are the biggest population over here. That's why you can go to the East Coast, Midwest, down south, and the West Coast, and it's black cities. Black cities. It doesn't make no sense for anybody to believe, oh, it's only 50 million of us. It's 50 million of them. It's way more than 50 million of us. Us in North America is probably 150 million in North America. It's probably about 50, 75 million so-called African Americans in the West Indies. And then we're not going to talk about Central and South America. Like, you feel what I'm saying? North America, it's probably about 150 million of us. It was only 50 million. They could have gave niggas their own state and had, they would just have, why don't you just put niggas in New York and New Jersey? A little bit in Florida, Virginia. Why is all these black people in Baltimore, Maryland, Virginia, Tennessee, Chicago? But do you see anybody else besides so-called white people who have their own communities? Like, yeah, we go to Chinatown and Japanese town, and they have little China and Jap everywhere. See, them Asians, you have to watch. I think it's more Asians than white people. It's more Asians than white people. In the West Coast, out here in California, Texas and all that stuff, right? The Latinos I'm talking about mostly are Mexicans, but you have El Salvadorians, Guatemalans have a couple communities and stuff. But the Migos, the Latinos in the West Coast have communities. You'll see a whole bunch of Latinos over here with their communities. But once we leave the West Coast and we go over there, we go to the East Coast, them is Ricans and Dominicans and shit like that. Them not Mexicans. You feel what I'm saying? So over here in the West Coast, the Migos got communities. But when we go to down south in the Midwest, you're not going to see these people. But when you go to the down south and Midwest, you're going to see us. You see us everywhere. Us everywhere. When you go to LA and stuff like that, you don't be seeing Asians like that. You see Mexicans out there. When you come to the Bay Area in Northern California, you're going to see a lot of Asians. That's what I'm saying. Let's just travel everywhere and see how many Asians you go. We're going to go to a certain place, you're not going to see no Asians. But everywhere you go, you're going to see a so-called black person with a black community, black cities, black hoods. So that lets you know that we're more than 50 million. That is stupid. Real stupid, especially for all you Negroes that been to colleges and got these degrees and be believing that it don't make no sense. Just do the math. 2 + 2 = 4, not 5. Don't eat the truth and feed me lies like it don't make no sense. We only 50 million deep and we across the whole America. Of the whole America. Anybody who believe that, you's a dummy. You's a dummy. I just dislike listening to these educated Negroes who be saying stupid stuff like that. Oh yeah, we're 50 million deep over here. Oh, they bought us on slave ships from Africa. Peace. Peace again. Bye.